Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder in children. How it affects emotional wellness. What is emotional wellness?
What
Emotional
is
wellness
emotional
implies
wellness?
the ability to be
Emotional
aware of
wellness implies
and
the
accept our
ability to be
feelings
aware of
rather
and
than deny
accept
them,
our feelings
to have an
rather than
optimistic
deny them,
approach to life and
to
enjoy
have an
life
optimistic
despite its
approach to
occasional
life
disappointments and
and enjoy
frustrations.
life despite its
The social
occasional
and cultural
disappointments and
stigma
frustrations.
associated with mental illness has caused many individuals to alienate themselves from others and reject treatment. Emotional wellness is when an individual effectively copes with life and can create satisfying relationships. Social wellness, which is developing a sense of connection, feeling like you belong, and having a strong support system. These two dimensions of wellness correlate so well with each other that I feel that you cannot have one without achieving the other. Emotional wellness is so vital to a person's well being that it is the first one in the eight dimensions of wellness. I feel that this is because when we are in distress, our mind and bodies suffer, putting us in physical and mental crisis. The idea of reaching emotional wellness has really gained momentum because learning how to effectively cope with life and appropriately managing your feelings so that you are not consumed by stress and grief keeps you mentally strong and healthy. Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, known as DMDD, is a childhood condition of extreme irritability, anger, and frequent intense temper outbursts. DMDD symptoms go beyond being a moody child. Children with DMDD experience severe impairment that requires clinical attention. Chronic irritability was the basis to diagnose bipolar disorder in these children. However, it is not pathognomonic of bipolar disorder and could be observed in many child psychiatric disorders. DMDD in children and adolescents has increased significantly within the last 2 decades. Depression in children can manifest into many psychiatric disorders. DMDD co-occurred with all psychiatric disorders, with the highest rates co-occurring with depression and OCD. DMDD was also associated with elevated rates of social impairment, school suspension, service use, and poverty. Are there early childhood predictors of DMDD? Early predictors in these six domains are now being studied, which include the child's demographics, child's psychopathology, functioning, temperament, parental psychopathology, and the psychosocial environment. Children and adolescents who have been diagnosed with DMDD by the criteria of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, known as the DSM-5, are the target population. DMDD has been misdiagnosed for bipolar and has been incorrectly treated. Even though the DSM-5 does not recognize the diagnosis of DMDD in children younger than 6 years old, studies are being conducted on the behavioral predictors that may be present in children age 3. Children who can be diagnosed at an early age with DMDD can have the proper behavioral and medical therapy needed to obtain emotional and social wellness, while helping them with important behavioral methods to diffuse their tantrums and to better handle stress. Why is early diagnosis of DMDD important. DMDD is a form of emotional distress that can be found in children as early as 3 years of age. Teaching these children healthy forms of coping mechanisms will help assist them in learning self-control and enforce the importance of emotional and social wellness. Learning about the diagnosis of DMDD and the treatments used globally has helped me to better understand the devastation depression can cause in a child's life. It also enforces how important emotional wellness is to the mind, body, and spirit. Studies being conducted are enforcing the predictors of this mental disorder so that children can be diagnosed properly by the age of 3 and start receiving the proper therapy essential for behavioral modification. Early intervention and DMDD. Implementing early intervention in toddlers age 3 will help the child receive the proper therapy. Learning to properly manage stress and learning coping skills while creating a healthy and positive environment is essential for emotional wellness. Establishing early childhood diagnosis guidelines for children who may have DMDD will ensure that the child receives the proper treatment for their depression symptoms. Implementing early intervention therapy methods specifically tailored to those toddlers who have the predictors of DMDD will eradicate the major emotional meltdowns seen in those children who have been misdiagnosed and have not received therapy. Studies show that symptoms may be intensified if children grow up in dysfunctional environments. Further studies must be conducted and data must be collected on the temperamental correlates and predictors of DMDD. Proper medical therapy, behavioral therapy, and diagnosis guidelines must be established to ensure that these children receive help as soon as symptoms present themselves. I propose implementing early intervention for toddlers and their family members who display predictive indicators of emotional and behavioral dysregulation and poor functioning. Early intervention, if needed, is the key to the proper development of all toddlers. Implementing early intervention therapy to both toddlers and parents will help improve the emotional, social, and environmental wellness of the child. I predict good outcomes globally for children and adolescents who have been diagnosed with disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. These findings can narrow down the cause of this mental illness and help establish the type of treatment plan that is most beneficial to these clients.